Does Brad Dalke deserve a sponsor exemption into a PGA Tour event? That is the question that the golf world is talking about. Ever since he announced that he is going to be attending a PGA Tour event on a sponsorship exemption, well, the debate has started. I mean, have you ever wondered if being a great golfer is actually enough anymore? Because a few years ago, this conversation wouldn't even exist. If you told someone that a YouTube golfer would get a sponsor exemption into a PGA Tour event, most people, they would have laughed you right off the golf course. The idea, it would have sounded ridiculous. Professional golf was professional golf. YouTube was YouTube. The two worlds, they existed separately. But that's not where we are anymore. Welcome to Golf Talk. I'm your host, Jimmy, and today we're going to be talking about good member Brad Dalke and whether or not he deserves this sponsorship exemption into the PGA Tour. Whether or not there is more to the story of who should get picked when it comes to this. And I'm going to give you guys my opinion as we go throughout this video. I think it's pretty clear cut, but I know the comments probably are going to get a little bit divided because people have opinions on this. A lot of people say that the people that work their way through the common avenues and channels to get there should have gotten that. They say because of his following that he got special attention. Well, we're going to talk about all of it. Drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and yes, Brad Dalke announced he got a sponsor exemption into a PGA Tour event, and the reaction online is pretty much what you'd expect. Some people thought it was awesome. Others think it's a complete joke. And the more I read through the comments and listened to both sides, the more I actually realized this isn't really about Brad at all. This is about where golf was and where it's heading. So before we go any further, let's get something straight. Brad isn't a random content creator who picked up a camera 6 months ago, picked up a golf club, got handed a PGA Tour start because he has followers. That is not the situation here. And for people that aren't in the golf community, the YouTube golf community, the PGA golf community, or anything, they would look at this on its face and say, why would this guy get it? Why does he get something special? He got it handed to him. A lot of people know Brad from Good, but they may not know that his golf background is extensive. This is the guy who finished runner-up at the U.S. Amateur. He played in the Masters. He played in the U.S. Open. At one point, he was on a path that looked very similar to what you would expect for a future professional golfer. He can absolutely play. He's really, really good. But once you add the words YouTube golfer to somebody's name, well, the conversation completely flips. Suddenly people stop talking and looking at the golf resume, and they start looking at the subscriber count. That's where it kind of gets divided and interesting, because if we're being honest, the sponsor exemption itself isn't what people are upset about, I don't think. Sponsor exemptions have always existed. Tournaments hand them out for different reasons every single year. They have different motives. Sometimes it's a local favorite. Sometimes it's a young amateur. Sometimes it's a player coming back from injury. Sometimes it's a veteran who moves tickets. That's right. They can give sponsor exemptions to people they think will bring in more revenue and tickets and get them more views. The real issue people have is that YouTube is now sitting at the same table with professional golf. Think about it for a second. There are many tour players grinding every week, paycheck to paycheck, barely making enough to survive to the next week. There's guys sleeping in cheap hotels, driving 12 hours between tournaments, paying entry fees, chasing their dream, hoping for one opportunity, one chance to get into a PGA Tour event. Then they look up, they see a content creator with millions of followers, and he gets a sponsor exemption handed to him. So you can understand why some people probably get a little salty about that. Even if Brad deserved it, even if Brad can compete, which he can, even if Brad had a better amateur resume than a lot of people criticizing him, most of them, the optics alone are enough to start a debate or even an argument, to be honest with you. But then you have to ask the other question. What exactly is a tournament supposed to do? Because golf isn't just a sport anymore. It is entertainment. And I know that sounds harsh to some of the golf traditionalists out there, but the reality is the reality, and that's the truth. Every professional sport on the planet is competing for attention, every single one. Golf is not immune to that reality. So if Brad Dalke brings hundreds of thousands of extra eyeballs to an event, well, guess what? There's value to that. There is a lot of value to that, and it brings into consideration when they give out their sponsor exemptions. If good fans tune in because one of their guys is playing in the field, which they're going to, that's instant value. That's marketability. That's views. That's eyes. That's revenue. Now, if younger viewers who normally wouldn't watch 4 rounds of golf suddenly care about a tournament, that's value. Whether people like it or not, that is part of the equation now. And a lot of people, I don't think they accept that. Honestly, we're seeing it happening everywhere. Look at Bryson DeChambeau. There was a time when Bryson was known almost entirely as a professional golfer. Now, he's one of the biggest golf creators in the world. Some of his YouTube videos get more engagement than entire golf broadcasts. Let that sink in for a second. We did a video talking about his choice to either go more into YouTube golf content creation or more PGA Tour, or take a step back from the PGA Tour. It's a very interesting topic, but think about how crazy that is. A single YouTube upload can create more discussion than an entire PGA Tour event. A decade ago, that was impossible. Today, it's completely normal. Then, you've got Grant Horvat, built one of the biggest audiences of golf without needing a tour card at all. He doesn't need to make cuts. He doesn't need to finish top 10. He doesn't need to worry about the FedEx Cup points. He just needs to continue to be in the conversation of, should Grant go pro? His audience shows up because they enjoy the content. That is a completely different business model, and that is where I think a lot of the frustration comes from this announcement that Brad gets to play in a PGA Tour event. For decades, professional golf was the only path to relevance. If you wanted fans, you had to earn them through tournament results. Now, you can just go build, I say just go, it's not easy, but you can build a massive audience by creating entertaining golf content. Some people love that, some people hate it. Personally, I think we're watching the sport evolve in real time right in front of our eyes, and the reality is that most golfers relate more to creators than tour pros. That is the reality. That's 100% true. I do. I enjoy watching professional golf, but I'm not standing on a tee box hitting 340-yard drives and firing at tuck pins all day. I'm Jimmy, and I'm trying to break 90. I'm trying to avoid the double bogey that ruins a good round. I'm trying to figure out why my driver disappears halfway through the bag 9. That's why content creators connect with so many people. They feel accessible. They feel real. They actually feel like golfers most of us could actually relate to in real life. And whether you love it or hate it, tournaments, the PGA Tour, they're all noticing because attention does matter. Viewership, engagement, the game is changing in front of our eyes. Now, does that mean every creator should get sponsor exemptions? Absolutely not. There still has to be a golf skill component. There still has to be a competitive standard, right? You can't just hand out spots because somebody has 1 million subscribers. At least I don't think you should. But when somebody has Brad Dalke's background and Brad's audience, well, that kind of creates the perfect storm. That's where things get complicated. Honestly, I don't think this is the last time at all we're going to be having this conversation. In fact, I think we're just getting started, because 5 years from now, what happens when a creator is drawing bigger audience than half the field? It's going to happen. It's already happening. What happens when sponsors realize creators move more products more effectively than the PGA Tour players? What happens when tournament organizers start looking at audience reach alongside scoring average? I'm serious here. Those are real questions that are coming up, and I don't think golf has fully figured out the answers yet. Maybe Brad's exemption is completely deserved. Maybe it's controversial. Maybe it's both. But what I do know, that this isn't really a story about one player getting a sponsor exemption. This is a story about the collision that is happening right now with traditional golf and modern golf, or YouTube golf, whatever you want to call it. One side believes opportunities should be earned strictly through performance. The other side believes growing the game matters too. And then somewhere in the middle is where Brad is right now, where the truth lives. So I want to know from you guys. I want to know, did Brad deserve the exemption? I told you I'd give you my opinion. My opinion is yes, he did. I mean, when you get runner-up amateur, you go to the Masters, you go to the U.S. Open. You guys, you saw him in the Internet Invitational, Creator Classic, all that stuff. You've seen him on Good. This guy is a very, very good golfer. Will he go out and win? I don't know. But does he deserve the sponsor exemption when sponsor exemptions are subjective? I think he does. And I think for all the right reasons. Because he's a really good golfer. He could go out and have a good showing. Plus, he's going to pull a ton of views. He's going to add more exposure to the PGA Tour for this event. I promise that's going to happen. And then they're going to look at it and be like, well, what do we do now? I mean, would you rather see Brad get that exemption? Or would you rather see a mini tour grinder get it that has just been grinding on their butt week after week? I see both sides. I really do. Or do you think bringing new fans into the game is just as important as rewarding people already chasing the dream? Let me know. Drop your thoughts, because this is one of those golf debates where I genuinely see both sides. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this topic a lot more over the next few years. Hope you guys have a good day.